Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody had a fantastic night last night. You're feeling okay on January 1st as 2025 is officially underway. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, or today, how you're feeling, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And what we're going to get into, the Eagles got some bad news to kick off the new year. Not pertaining to the 2024 season, which has been an incredible season to watch if you're an Eagles fan, but for the 2025 schedule. Because while 2024 has been a blast, 2025 is a true gauntlet. We're going to dive into the opponents that Philadelphia is set to face because that news is now made official. Before we do all of that, spend 2025 and every year beyond that with us right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button here on Eagles Now for daily and year-round Eagles coverage. We are just 500 people away from 97,000 subscribers. My goal for this season, get to 100K, get that silver plaque from YouTube. You can help that cause and help us get there to that milestone by hitting that subscribe button. So let's talk about this Eagles 2025 slate. Since Philadelphia finished in first place in the NFC East, they will now play a first-place schedule. Next year, they will play the NFC North and the AFC West. This year, for instance, Philadelphia took on the opponents from the NFC South and the AFC North, and they fared pretty well against both of those divisions. Philadelphia was 7-1 inside the NFC East, or one loss in the NFC East going into that Giants game, and then the two losses against the NFC South, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and then they swept the AFC North. Very impressive feat. And so next year for the Birds, NFC North, AFC West, and so Philadelphia will play other first-place teams on their schedule because they finished in first place in the division. That's how it goes across the NFL. We don't know when these games will be played. We just know who and where the 2025 games will take place. And we're going to go game through game, home schedule, away schedule. I have thoughts on all of these matchups as well. That's all coming up. But if you want to go to any of these Eagles games, or shoot, if you can't wait until next year and you want to go to Eagles-Giants in Week 18, make sure you do it with our partners at Gametime, the best ticketing app in the ticketing marketplace. You get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Be sure to toggle the all-in pricing tool. Therefore, you don't get hit with any surprise fees at checkout. And I just love the user interface of this app because I love to see the price point and the viewpoint with what I'm paying and what I'm seeing at those seats. Plenty of tickets available for Giants, Eagles. If Saquon Barkley plays, you might be able to witness history. It's not just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. So download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. What time is it? Game time. Let's officially take a look at this Eagles 2025 schedule. First, the home matchups. The divisional foes in the NFC East, Washington Commanders, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants. And then those other teams from those separate divisions that we talked about a little bit earlier. In the NFC North, home games against the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. 3 more home games to get to here. 8 in total for Philadelphia, Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Los Angeles Rams. As for the Eagles 2025 away schedule, some difficult games away from Lincoln Financial Field. Once again, the divisional games against Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. But then Philadelphia has to go on the road to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers, on the road to take on the Minnesota Vikings. They get the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium, the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi Stadium, the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, and then depending on who wins the NFC South, it's either going to be the Buccaneers if they beat the Saints, or the Falcons if they win and the Bucs lose. Philadelphia will have to go on the road to either face Tampa Bay or Atlanta. So let's run through all of these games. I had said going into this year, I was one of the first people on this, that the Commanders were going to be feisty in 2024. Really liked what Adam Peters did. I wasn't too high on the hiring of Dan Quinn. I'm always going to side with hiring an offensive coach if you're going to take a quarterback, but he has completely changed that culture. And Jaden Daniels is for real. Moving forward because of him, because of the direction that the organization is headed, they might be the biggest threat for Philadelphia in the NFC East for the foreseeable future. Throughout much of my lifetime, the Commanders have been irrelevant. They're anything but that because I think Daniels is going to be really good for a long time. We saw that 2 weeks ago when he helped Washington overcome 5 turnovers, 2 different 14-point deficits, and dropped 36 points on Vic Fangio's head. As for the Dallas Cowboys, have to imagine that Dallas is going to be better next year compared to this year. I wouldn't bank on Dak Prescott having a season-ending injury in consecutive seasons. The big question with Dallas, will Mike McCarthy return as head coach? Going into this past year, 2024, I thought that the Cowboys were kind of secretly rebuilding, retooling a little bit because they didn't do anything in free agency. Because of how this year went, does that change this upcoming offseason? The New York Giants might be the worst team in the National Football League right now. Next year, they could have an intriguing rookie quarterback, even though I think this rookie quarterback draft class is really thin. You have Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward. Outside of that, Jalen Milroe stunk up the joint against Michigan in that bowl game on Tuesday, December 31st. And so will the Giants be able to get their quarterback? If not, do they dig into the free agency crop there? They could also have a new general manager and a new head coach if Joe Shane, thank you for Saquon, gets fired, and then in the process, Brian Daboll gets fired as well. The Chicago Bears, kind of a sleeping giant in my eyes, but the McCaskey family ownership is a joke. They don't know how to run an NFL organization. Caleb Williams has been really good as a rookie. They have some talent on both sides of the ball. I think that Caleb should make a leap in year 2, and it's going to take a Mike Vrabel type to really overturn that culture. Brian Flores is an intriguing name. Pete Carroll changing that culture also kind of intrigues me. They need somebody to reverse the tide. Now, if they can land Ben Johnson, that would obviously be a great hire because then you pair him up with Caleb Williams and the sky's the limit, but the front office structure is not good for Chicago. The Detroit Lions, that's the team that Ben Johnson is the OC for. Before they suffered this rash of injuries on the defensive side of the ball with countless players landing on IR, when you watch them, they look to be the best team in football. An offense that could pop off for 40 points, a defense that was playing really well. Aiden Hutchinson looked to be on his way to winning Defensive Player of the Year. Excellent coaching staff, really physical team. But could they lose both coordinators this offseason? Ben Johnson's probably going to get a head coaching job. Their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, could get a head coaching job as well. And then Dan Campbell, he's kind of that CEO head coach like Nick Sirianni. Can he be successful without great coordinators? The Denver Broncos, one of the more surprised teams in the NFL this season. Sean Payton should be in the running for NFL Coach of the Year. I do think it should go to Kevin O'Connell, but Payton has done a great job with Bo Nix, and I think that Bo Nix is going to take that leap next year. They have an opportunity to make the playoffs this year as a wild card team when nobody anticipated that happening, and their defense under Vance Joseph, it's a problem. It's really good. Las Vegas Raiders are and will continue to be a joke. Who will their quarterback be? If the draft board doesn't fall their way, might not be able to get a quarterback in the draft. You might not want to draft a quarterback because this class is so thin. So then do you go after Kirk Cousins? Do you go after Dak Prescott? Do you go after an Aaron Rodgers? I think that's a possibility for the Raiders. Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay now has 6 double-digit winning seasons in 8 years. Matthew Stafford's starting to look a little bit older. That offense is struggling to just score 2 touchdowns a game over the last couple of weeks. Cooper Kupp aging overnight, but that young defense starting to ball, and they've won a lot of games after having to overcome that slow start where they began the season 1-4, 2-4. Green Bay Packers, one of the youngest, most talented teams in the league. And my motto in life, don't be scared. Philadelphia having to take on Green Bay in the wild card round, got to be honest with you, it scares me. They're so Jekyll and Hyde, they're so hot and cold, but when they're hot, look out. They look like, when they're playing their best football, one of the top teams in the NFL. Eagles will have their hands full if they have to take on the Packers at the Link. A lot of people will have Philadelphia on upset alert. Could also be the Commanders. Minnesota Vikings on the road might be the hardest environment to play in the NFL. Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, what a coaching staff. They have to re-sign Sam Darnold. How do you look the players in the face in that locker room and say, yeah, we're not going to bring back Sam Darnold. We're going to go with J.J. McCarthy after his 2 knee surgeries. Darnold has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year, and now I think it's to the point where he's going to get $40, $50 million average annual value, and they have a really good roster, extremely well coached, one of the teams that could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And so Green Bay, depending on the weather, tough game. Minnesota, Kansas City Chiefs. You have to go to Arrowhead and play Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and a Spags-led defense. I think the Chiefs' offense next year is going to be better. You get Rashee Rice back. You get Hollywood Brown. Another year with Mahomes if he re-signs. I'm pretty sure he signed a 1-year deal. But Xavier Worthy really starting to turn into a player. And the juices always get flowing when it's Eagles-Chiefs, given their history against Andy Reid because he coached in Philadelphia, but also back in Super Bowl 57. The Los Angeles Chargers, like Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, what a coaching job this year. I'm such a sucker for coaches who maximize their rosters and change the culture. Harbaugh's been able to do that. One of the best coaches in all of football at any level. Justin Herbert is legit. The defense is really good. Jesse Minter, by the way, is the defensive coordinator who was my number 1 candidate for Philadelphia to hire before they hired Vic Fangio. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL. He's young. He's a stud. And I think that the Rams and Chargers there in Los Angeles kind of jockeying to control the LA area. Rams win a lot under McVay, but the Chargers are legit. Love the selection of Joe Alt in the draft. If they get a legitimate running back, they get another wide receiver. Harbaugh's always going to invest in the trenches. That team next year could be better than this year, and they've already won double-digit games. Buffalo Bills. We'll see when this game is played like that Green Bay game, and depending on when those games are played, weather could be a factor. Josh Allen, an alien at the quarterback position. And then we're not sure yet, we'll know this after Week 18, who the Eagles will play between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta beat the Birds at the Link in Week 2, the Saquon Barkley drop. And then with the Bucs, Todd Bowles has owned Philadelphia, and Baker Mayfield has straight up been cooking. So your early prediction for the 2025 schedule on the first day of 2025. How many games will the Eagles win this upcoming season? Let me know. This is why, by the way, taking advantage of this year, having this special team, this special coaching staff with health on your side is so important. Eagles have a wonderful opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I get it. The NFC playoffs, very loaded with a lot of really good teams, but I think the Eagles are the most well-rounded team in this conference, and given how hard this schedule is going to be next year, this year is the year. Make it happen. Go Birds.